Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's our final game of the night here. My name is Asterix. I'm joined by Nightstar. Remember, we're sponsored by CDBC Bank. Organized by Right Games, Carry Live, and Garena. Now, for our final game, CFO versus Impunity. This one should be a good example of where CDBC Flying Oyster are at the moment, because in their past couple of weeks, I feel like this team's been raising the bar yet again as they've just come through J-Team. They lost to Beyond Gaming, but still, played very well versus M9. I think CDBC Flying Oyster are kind of getting back to that, spring finals form yet again.
Yeah, Shun back into the roster.
Yep, it's a big difference.
Kind of working their way back into form, but they are still getting back to form, right? That's the big thing. Is
True.
Once they are into form, this is a very, very dangerous team because really all the champions are available for them to pick. They're such strong laners that no doubt they can just flex around some of these picks. It just comes down to a matter of can they figure things out as a team, because sometimes their coordination still a little bit over the place. Whereas on the flip side, for Impunity, what is also over the place for them is just their lineup. Yet again, we've come into this week, they've made another change. They brought in a new coach. They've completely scrapped their other two coaches. So more musical chairs.
Yeah, I mean, like every other week, it's LZ coming in, or every other day, I should say. Annex is just rotating, and that's literally been the case since the CDBC, matchup last time around, where then Annex came in for the first time, then it's like, all right, LZ Annex, LZ Annex, LZ Annex, and they keep going around in that fashion. And, Nature played the start of the split, Winnie played in the middle of the split, Houston was playing, and then now we have Winnie again. ICU was once on this roster, then got dropped out of nowhere, and Jackpot, like, Impunity Esports are trying to set a record for the most roster changes mid-split, I think, in either minor or major region. The CDBC Flying Oyster, they're going to be the other side of the coin. I mean, this team have only been changing the 80 carry, and you raised it before, but Shun is obviously such a better fit for this team.
Yeah, with Shun, they just have a full set of options in how they want to play the game. They can play through rest if they want to. They can play through mission, which has been their more common lane to play through. But now that they have Shun in the bot lane, they can draft winning lanes in the bot side and actually execute through them. Whereas for when they had Atlan, it felt like it was more of a liability. Where they were forced into the Senatom Kench lanes where, hey, I don't hate Senatom Kench. It's just that I'd like, if you only play Senatom Kench, it makes it really easy for the other team in the gameplay.
Those two games back-to-back, Atlan picking up the center. We're going to look a little bit at, our mid laners here. I feel like CDBC still have some of the biggest arguments for the strongest solo laners. Alongside Gemini as well. The individuality in this team strikes me true. As on the other side, I'd say that about Apex, but I don't really feel like this mid laner has all been, standing strong when you got Mission next to him. Like, the stats show it, but let's just be real in terms of gameplay. I think right now outweighing one over the other.
Yeah, and for Apex, he's been the one to get majority of the gameplay or game time here, as Husky hasn't gotten that many opportunities. And when we see the last time we saw Apex and Annex together, the big highlight moment was just the Zillion Jinx combination. Do they go back to that and just play protect the Jinx style? And do CFO go ahead and ban away the Jinx to just take that plan completely off the table to begin with?
All right, double mid lane ban to kick us off. We're talking a lot about Apex versus Mission, and that is 4 mid lane bans straight away. So both these guys are getting put down the tier list, while Zeri this time taken away is a nice touch considering how many times it's made it through today.
Yeah, I think it really just benefits Impunity if they want to pick the Zillion pick, right? Taking off as many mid laners as possible to force Mission to go down his tier list. That can help out getting a softer matchup. But it's not going to be that angle. They immediately lock in the Kalista. So for CFO, I think it's just going to be Aphelios Renata here, just to answer back. Makes a lot of sense here. Or at the very least, get the Renata on this rotation.
Yeah, so you take away the Nara at the same time too would be cool. For someone like Rest, just looking through his champion pool now, he's played so much of the Nara. Looks like Aphelios, yeah, will be the takeaway, as you pointed out. Renata, you mentioned, is up and available. It would be a crime not to see Koala, which is already his most played champion, pick up something that is just so good in the 2v2 lane and such a great denial.
Yeah, it denies away the classic lane dominate duo, and also
No way.
Okay.
Really? You give away Kalista Renata.
All right, it has to be an insta-lock, although, you know, for Impunity, for the most part, their support pool has just been across all three champions, or all three players has just been, I was going to say Nautilus, but apparently Renata doesn't exist, Hysterics.
Huh, okay. Apparently it doesn't. Houston, you know, has played it once, but looking at Winnie,
it doesn't exist.
Games of Nautilus. Yeah, it doesn't. It literally doesn't exist. I mean, it's insane. It is still one of the strongest champions in the game. And teams have just gone past it completely. Expect Renata bans now as they prioritize jungle, top lane. We have Poppy, Trundle, you know, Talia, Nah. That was what it cost. Well, now I'm expecting support bans, solo lane bans here for CFO as they stop Jackpot from pulling out anything wild against this Nah.
Banning away the Irelia. We'll see if they go ahead and go for a double ban. GP definitely could be a big factor. Does very well against the Aphelios, right? Throw down an ultimate on top of Aphelios, and Aphelios does struggle to try and play the game. Kind of goes both ways though, right? If you have the GP ultimate, then GP barrels, makes it very difficult for the Kalista to try and hop around these fights. And CFO, they go ahead, ban away the Mumu. So this clearly sets up for CFO to get Renata R4. Surely.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Mumu is the other takeaway when, you know, Renata gets picked up. Okay. Pull out the Mumu. Galio taken away from Mission.
There's a 5 ban towards Mission.
Makes sense. I mean, 32% of his team's damage. Corky's what he's played. He's played Syndra, though. Let's be fair. No one else is playing Syndra except for Mission.
But the Renata.
The Renata's like, yeah. The Renata was set up, as you said. You've taken away a Mumu, but they're just like, we don't care. Impunity, just get Renata. But you could have had...
This has sort of been the critique of CFO and also Impunity, is that their drafts get really, really strange with their priorities. They can still come out with a relatively cohesive draft, but how they get to them is really interesting. And Impunity, they kind of get everything they wanted, just not in the order we thought they would get them.
Yeah. It's going to be an Ashe support. You know what, Koala? Bring it out. Why not? Why not? With all the things we've been seeing, with Syndra, add in that pick potential. I'll do it. I'll do it. Oh, please
Might
do
as
it.
well.
You've taken away a Mumu. I mean, yes, good. Okay. Here comes Halo Blade's Ashe support again. Because let's be fair, I mean, it is a short-range bottom lane, so... Yeah, abuse the fact. I mean, CFO still with a strong 2v2, and maybe that's why they see this Ashe as a good pick into the Renata.
Yeah, it seems like CFO just set up for the bait pick, right? They're just trying to bait Impunity into this pick. That's why they go ahead blind, or not blind pick, but they take the Syndra on that R4 rotation, and now they've got double range in that bot lane. There's plenty of range coming in from CFO. However, they are playing sort of a high risk draft because this Poppy can run wild all across the map, right? There's enough setup coming in from these lanes that this Poppy can just win the game very quickly. The only issue with the Poppy pick is the fact that Alex hasn't really been a tempo jungler. He's played the Viego, and he's kind of done nothing a lot of the times just during this early game. So this is a much different flair for Alex.
At least give him something that has the agency in the early game, as you're talking about. I'm going to be worried, though. I mean, if we just look at pure laning for CFO, Trundle Syndrome mid. If if Apex doesn't get out of lane, he's in trouble. He is in trouble. We've already seen Talia's today that have just not been able to use the ultimate Uniboy, right, on J-Team. His Talia game was so minorly impactful. And we come into this final game of the night after what has just been the strangest day of PCS, I feel. Some hype matchups, but some of our top teams just being strange. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Apex is coming over here to talk to me, but
what a great way to end the day, right? We start out the last game with a pause, right?
And this one will go for a while. We know it will. We know it will. I mean, I'm keen to see the Ash here. I didn't get to see the runes, but at the very least, you know, being able to, I wouldn't say match globally, but let's be real, you know, being able to have your own form of big potential. We've had a mic issue apparently with one of the teams, so I guess we'll sit and we'll wait.
When you talk about this comp, yes, it's a 4-range champions, and they could definitely get snowballed upon in the early game from Alex. Yeah. That will be certainly a focal point for Impunity. But if they go unpunished, the amount of pick power while being able to play from range is going to be very oppressive from CFO, right? The boomerangs, the Ash volleys, the Ash arrows, the disengage power coming in from Scatter of the Weak. Unless if you hit trumps with getting Hextech Rift, it's going to be very difficult to try and force your way onto CFO's comp.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're not going to put your eggs in the basket of Dragon Soul for this as well. As I believe, did we just get told, no, we're going in? Yes, we are. Okay, I was worried there was a break coming up, but there's not. Welcome back. Our last game of the night. And yeah, look, I mean,
there we go.
The ward spots them out. At least Annex will get the ward. So, bit of experience shared amongst 4 people. In the last game, or the game before, Nightstar, I actually found out, thanks to Dagda giving me a DM, I found out the Swain, who mission's okay for now. I remember we saw a Swain in mid get level 2 very early. And, you know, it was the ward in jungle from, what game was it? What game am I thinking about? Was it the J-Team
That was the DCG. J-Team.
Oh, yeah. So, they left the ward for him to get the experience because it's around about who's around it. As Gemini mission will focus on the game at hand. Try to walk in. I mean, this brush setup is great.
How long do they wait?
I think you just go for the invade. You commit at this point, right? Top doesn't need to TP. I guess not. Okay, I guess not. Late jungle start. I mean, Alex is going to be leaving. Look at where Trundle is. Trundle will have the first start here. If only by a couple of seconds. Gemini's just thinking, but now he's going to begin as... Okay, it's about a second over Alex for the time being.
Alex is going to start out his Raptor camp, so... Going for the extra wave clear, of course, so you have the Q start. So it makes a lot of sense, especially when your bot lane isn't going to be helping you out with a leash. And this bot lane will be really important to watch because Koala has gone for the Halo Blade, so definitely allowed to trade power, and this was very intentional lead up for this bot lane matchup for CFO, right? They had the opportunity to deny away the Renata pick, which has been incredibly powerful, still very strong into an Aphelios, right? Because if the stars align and you land the ultimate onto an Aphelios, because he doesn't have cleanse, he could easily just two-shot his entire team. Because they're all ranged champions during extremely fragile. So he gets 2 or 3 crits with Inferno. Goodbye, CFO. You just died to your own AD carry.
True. I mean, Sean can do a lot of his own work to his own team, as you said. I want to take a step back because I feel like seeing Ash support yet again for some people might be confusing. I feel like this champion's been in a good position in the support role for at least a year. Halo Blade's been adapted by some of the pros. Over in LPL 2, I think Ming actually picked it up. As I'll pause on that, because Gemini is actually going to move into the enemy jungle on top of Alex. Looking for the Smite Steal here where he's already got the blue buff, but instead we'll just take away the Scuttle himself. So Gemini takes this while Alex eventually gets his own blue. I'm going to come back to this Night Star because it's something that I play a hell of a lot. No, I'm not, because Mission's going to get knocked back in. And Apex with some really good trades. Great scatter of the week from Mission on the way out. And now I am. Yes, I'm committing. Halo Blade is so good against short-range matchups, dude. Let me tell you, early damage from Ash plus utility that you get on auto attacks is just so insane. Like, as long as you don't get handshaked, Koala will have a great time.
Yeah, and if it's a matchup that you can't exactly walk up to, you just run comment, right? So, in lane, Ash is such an annoying champion to deal with. And he's really proven a point here. Fortunately, though, you know, Annex is pretty experienced, so he still chugging through his potions, but keeping up in the CS. We'll have to go ahead and start a recall, though, and that's going to give a little bit of room here, but he immediately picks up the life steal to add extra sustain and try and keep himself propped up, but doing a good enough job in the farming department to get that life steal along with really everything else he wanted, the extra utility he has.
Oh, good seismic shove. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Mission has to flash away, but the shove flash from Alex, maybe looking for a different angle. Apex flashed as well, as the threaded volley hits max range, but that's double flash from mid jungle. I mean, both poorly executed.
That, I mean, just like in the drafts, right? We were talking about, hey, CFO just baited out this Renata. That was Mission big braining it, because he flashed in the wrong direction, so then Alex would push him towards his tower in the right direction. Yeah.
I mean, it was a good scat of the week from Mission, I guess, you know, but just unfortunate to watch that play out. Impunity, their mid jungle losing Flash and losing those summoners before we get to see, you know, this level 6 mark hit. And remember, we talked a little bit about
Mission's
lane
close to
versus
6.
Apex. Yeah, Mission has kill threat. I mean, Mission will have kill threat for sure. He's got first strike. There you go.
Yep.
Just pops the ulti and first blood. Mission dead though. Really good seismic shove in return.
Yeah, that's actually a really great answer coming in from Apex, but that was so easily planned from Mission. He knew his level 6 timing, goes ahead, uses the minion dematerializer to hit the level 6 spike right there. Dematerializes the cannon minion and instantly just goes ahead, presses R. Easy does it. And Apex, fortunately, reads the situation well enough that he hits that shot, that seismic shove back to at least trade back, but it does mean that, you know, his lane state isn't going to be great. So now he's in a position to just say, hey, screw it, got ultimate, let's attack the side lanes.
Yeah, needs to get a move on. I will note the push in where the wave was, as you were saying. Mission denied a full wave of minions against Apex, so there is going to be a CS lead in the mid lane. But as you said, moving to one of the side lanes, going to bot nice and early here for Impunity's mid laner. And you can see already, I mean, Mission not having the ult, not as much pressure. As good trading here from Shun down bot side. But Impunity want to make this dive happen. Alex, without the Keeper's Verdict, though, needs to kind of change fast because it feels like it is another element of the dive here for Impunity on their turf.
And Jackpot making his way down into that top river, does spot out Gemini, which means that, hey, it could set up for a top play. I will definitely respect that, especially with Mission leaving his lane. And now it looks like CFO, they want to try and steal away the blue buff. Unfortunately for them, blue buff not available. And that means I think Impunity are going to try and set up for a blue buff fight.
Yeah, Jack's moving down again. Mission having his ult back up, though. A lot of fear coming through. The pings are actually going through with potential of topside, but Shun and Koala are doing well enough. I mean, look at the slows. They just run them down, and without those ultis for the turn, there's nothing Impunity's bottom lane can do.
Yeah, and you talked about, hey, for this Ashe-Renata matchup, if you miss the handshake, it's kind of donezo. And that's exactly what happens when he misses the handshake, and then Ashe just goes to town. And CFO, they can just run you down, essentially.
Wow. This is going to be so many plates as well. I mean, the perfect guns for turret plating.
Cash.
And with an Ashe, yeah, lots of it. So much. Like, you'd be surprised how fast Ashe support pushes out turrets too. So, thanks so much. Shun gets so much. 3 plates taken with a 15 CS lead. And meanwhile, CFO aren't even committing to that side of the map with a great killer, a Mega Gnar. A flash gone too. It's all going down for Impunity.
They can dive. Poppy is not there to try and support this. So if Mission gets here fast enough, they could still look to dive. And now they're actually going to turn and go for a pick.
Weaver's Wall needs to start to shove. A good hit up from Jackpot here against the wall. Comes together.
Chain.
And Impunity with a 3-man light it all up together. Gemini now running away with the Subjugate, has to burn his own flash as Rest just used the Mega Gnar. So he won't be able to contribute too much. So good response here from Impunity with a great roam time from our Apex as we see the chat across the arrow ball.
Doesn't quite land, but damage still done, right? Because Shun is just able to get 4 plates. When so much attention is being drawn up in his top side, trying to, you know, get this Jax going. And for good reason, for the side of Impunity, right? You want to get this Jax off to a right foot. You can easily snowball this matchup if Poppy's able to get in position, and you know a dive is trying to get forced by Mission. But because it gets to be an isolated bot 2v2, Shun, Koala, this is why you have Shun, right? You just hard stomp lane. And that's exactly what they are doing. Out to a 2-wave differential along with 4 plates to their name. This is incredibly terrifying Aphelios coming into the mid game.
It's just what we expect from Shun. I mean, this is the more reliable AD carry in my mind. I feel like for CFO, Atlan didn't have amazing performances, and as you said, the drafting capabilities just don't feel as there. I mean, I feel like now you have 3 very strong lanes. The CDBC flying Oyster, and hence why this team is looking like a top-tier team again. As, you know, against Impunity in this early game, it has been more about CDBC flying Oyster. We saw that great play at the top side with the Weaver's Wall, but apart from that, the lanes are still burning. And they're burning in favor of CFO with 20 CS, big lead in mid, now towards Dragon, meaning Shadow across the arrows up, and look, Winnie doesn't have his ult. Great scout of the week. Sent away his mission, though. So at least buying some time, but for CFO, that ult is down for the cost of a Dragon that's only just spawned and they don't have any vision control around it.
Yeah, and Winnie's really just been harming himself. He takes poor trades, misses the handshake. As a result, he continuously just has to sack EXP. So he's still level 5. I don't know how close he is to level 6, but until he hits that break point, it's just way too hard for them to actually turn and look for a fight. So CFO, they get this Dragon for free. In Impunity, they're down 2,000 gold. You need to find some play to get things back into their favor, and right now, like, the only objective available is that Rift Herald, and they are sending Talia top.
Make this dive happen. I mean, trying to bait Rest in his jackpot, but Rest not
He
taking. He's already used the hop, so he does have to flash. Great timing from Apex, and this is why we focus on the mid laner of Impunity. I mean, making a lot happen. One of the most proactive Talias of today.
Yeah, probably one of the most proactive Talias we've seen all split. A lot of our Talias have been pretty conservative with their ultimate usage, saving it for objectives.
Yeah. And
we haven't seen these moves before objectives, or at least before objective fights. However, at the same time, because you've set resources up to try and get this top Herald, you lost first Brit to Aphelios. Now Aphelios is going to be sent up towards this top lane, try and claim as many of those plates as he can in this top side. So for Impunity, this is a small timing window. They have to just get what they can top side, and they get a sizable chunk at the very least.
Yeah, so some gold over to Jackpot, who I would say is the most fed member, but even with a kill is 30 CS down. It's actually Apex here who's leading the gold charts, but look at the difference. 700 gold just between him and Mission. That's all the CS leads coming through, and even though you're able to get a bit more, I like the call out here, Nightstar, of Shun and Koala having really nice lane allocation here for CFO. Topside is exposed for plating, and he's got a Gale Force too at this point, so that turret plate is going to be up for grabs quite easily.
Yeah, Mythic completed by both of those bot lane champs, Gale Force and Imperial Mandate. This is where really big spikes happen. So frustrating to play against a Mandate Ashe, and yes, if you put it in the bot lane role, it doesn't exactly scale well, but in the support role, very cheap itemization, a lot of damage that you don't expect from that support position.
I mean, Mandate as well with the ability haste. His arrow's on a 37-second cooldown timer, gets the jacks here. Ulti flies through, Shun just gets more shurikens off the back of it, but now the wave getting set up as that dive at least being negated by Impunity. Remember, the Koala's going to have an ult. By the time this wave gets pushed in, turret goes down, and they fight over the next objective. It doesn't matter. That arrow is literally not on a cooldown.
Yeah, and Shun only one hit away from getting that tower. Close enough to get the extra gold. Like, this man is so far ahead. And for Impunity, it's going to be difficult for them to get onto the back line. Okay, Alex was in trouble, but, you know, hammer time.
He has himself a smite coming up as well. It's contesting over the blue buff, the small wins that are needed here, while meanwhile on the side lane, Rest going to get seismic shoved towards the direction of Apex here. If he walks back in, Rest will ult him, but he's going to be okay for now. So while the side lane antics continue, you can see that, you know, Shun's still in the side, still on top side, excuse me. Mission's mid, and all the waves are under control while there's nothing up but a dragon for now, and Alex actually is going to be shoving in Gemini, but they're hoping they pick the perfect window. However, Pillar, beautiful. Going to keep him safe.
Yep, Trundle. Pretty good against these champions that don't really have a lot of hops. As boom!
Got him. Cleanse. Okay, well, with Mission in
Big
range,
value.
you got to respect it. I mean, that's the power of Ashe. You sit in base, you press R, and if you hit someone, you know,
they're
who,
stunned forever.
like ally nearby, yeah, they're stunned forever. You get so much free damage off. It's just such a good bit. People need to play it in solo queue. It feels like free low if you can aim.
Yeah. As we do get a return tower at the very least. It's going into the hands of Jackpot. Again, we kind of highlighted this is sort of their win condition, which unfortunately kind of leaves Annex out to dry on this Kalista pick, which Kalista from behind is definitely a different animal than Kalista from ahead. Definitely can do a lot more. However, still able to provide the utility to allow Winnie perhaps the opportunity to land big.
Oh, Mission. That was
takeover.
So nice. Winnie coming in, speak of.
Takeover?
Takeover, yeah. He's going to get himself a mid laner as they find Gemini as well for the kill. But for CFO still waiting in brush. I mean, look, scat of the week again.
Oh, wait, the turn.
Outplays it, and now he's going to get knocked up, and he's dead. Mission getting knocked out after such a good little setup. And Impunity with 5 alive. Make the plays happen with this Poppy.
That's the power of Poppy. Even though it hasn't exactly been a stellar early game coming in from Alex, he hasn't done a ton of work. It's still been big at that moment, and now they get themselves an objective bounty. Still down 2,000 gold, but they are finding picks, and picks are the way you get back into this game. As we get to see how things transpire, Winnie flashes forward with the handshake and leads then with the hostile takeover and carves out large amount of space, and that AoE is more than enough to zone Shun off, and then they're so split. Mission picked off. Jackpot buys enough time, Counter-Strike, of course, dodge very good into Philios and buys enough time to finish off that kill on the side and turn for the objective.
And remember, like, it's not Phase Rush Syndra. You know, we're not getting, you know, when Syndra was big in the meta, Electrocute, Phase Rush, like, those seem to be the two to play. You know, it is a first strike Syndra, so you don't have any of that utility coming from your Keystone.
Yep.
That helps him get quick burst trades and then just run the other way. So caught out by the seismic shove costs a lot here for CFO when they were dragon stacking, when they had the early game gold lead. Impunity now taking one off of them and slowing down that early Mountain Soul for things like the Gnar, the Trundle. Feels pretty impactful to talk about because now Impunity actually have options with their Mythics on the board too and another Herald. Plus the, you know, the Weaver's Wall we've seen.
Yes.
Impunity can play these sides so well.
Yeah, and now with Mountain Rift on the table, right? That makes these objective fights very, very dangerous because all the extra terrain means that both of these teams need to get into River early to give themselves that extra room to play with. Otherwise, they are just stuck in these choke points, and the setup around these choke points is just so insane coming in from both of these teams. Now Rest, he's got 1v5.
Oh my god, they're all here for Rest. He's gonna edge out on Mega Gnar in a second. A two-man ulti, he's getting Alex, buying time. Still alive for now, he flashes away. Maybe not worth the flash there, Rest, but he's bought enough time. While CFO, they've got hitters both mid and top with a Herald. Actually, this could be worse.
Xun, I mean, it's definitely worth it for Xun, right? Because he's going to get a solo turret.
600 gold.
Tier 2 turret to his name. So this man, like, all eyes are on Xun when it comes to these fights. Because he has pretty much all of CFO's gold lead right now.
Yeah. I mean, 0-0-0. It's such a surprise. A 210 CS at 20 minutes into the game. As that camera pans bot though, Jackpot getting a response turret, so 2 for the price of 1, but Rest also goes down and burns a flash. Worth it because we've got Dragon coming up in 2 minutes. Rest won't have that summoner for the Mega Gnar. Baron's now up as well, and Impunity are trying to set themselves up around this objective, and you can see already trying to get themselves priority so that they can make the same play they made before, which is relying on Winnie, relying on Alex, and using Apex to just move around the map.
Collector now finished on Xun, so he's got a pretty sizable 2-item power spike here. The only issue is the front line he's dealing with can be a bit difficult to navigate around. Right, you've got the Poppy with the Chem Tank completed, then you also have to deal with Jackpot with a completed 2 items, a lot of HP to try and burn through. Not to mention the fact that he can just dodge all your autos. So when it comes to setting up for this next objective, again, both teams will need to try and get there first. Otherwise, it will be difficult to get out through these choke points. And now a teleport is going to be forced.
Arrow, you're going to see him. Arrow in time. No, he's gone. Okay, so TP burnt from Jackpot, getting caught out in the side lane. 45 seconds before Dragon. They just moved down.
Yeah, now it's going to be the rotations towards this Dragon. Mountain Soul going to be really important for both of these squads. For Impunity, it's going to give them that extra durability to get into a fight. On the flip side, for CFO, if they get this Mountain Soul, it makes them really hard to burst out. And that's essential for 4-range champions.
How do you
They've got a lot of control
ward? They did it all at the same time. Well, Impunity definitely have vision in that brush, as Alex is going to be called out.
Oh my god.
Weak, and the
He's
range.
gone.
When playing at range, my god, the CFO get the job done quick. There goes the jungler. Dragon, Baron, what would you like to take, CFO?
Yeah, that's the question. Without a jungler on the other side, it's very difficult for the side of Impunity to try and flip. So they just feel like they have to just go for the other objective. But now CFO, they're already on the Baron. They chunked it out pretty heavily.
The Weaver's Wall winning.
Oh, they're pretty split.
Feels like it's going to be everything. Yeah, I mean, Gemini and Rest aren't doing enough damage. Trying to buy time for Alex, or maybe just get themselves a witty ultimate. Handshake not connecting. Hostile takeover. Does though in front of the Baron. Waiting for it as Jackpot jumps in, but the pillar makes him flash as Sean is going to go forward, running at him with a good
good lockdown.
in response. Apex trying so hard.
They're so low.
This game. And CFO will be pulled
Alex
off the
is
Baron
here.
as Alex is coming through. Gemini
Boom.
backing in a silly place.
Can they chase?
They can keep on going. However, waiting for the scatter leak from Mission. Impunity back off. They're in front of the Baron, but they want to go and take the Dragon before Impunity reset, rewind, and recharge.
They have to sprint there. Their health bars aren't exactly in a great place, so if Rest is able to delay this long enough, and he's building a lot of Narbar off of just that Scuttle Crab, could be enough to stall out, but will be forced off, and they will be able to get themselves Dragon. Now they have to be weary of an immediate turn for the Baron buff as we get to see the replay. Really nice Weaver's Wall to split Shun off of that Baron buff, which is the main damage source to take the Baron. And when he gets a pretty good ultimate with the hostile takeover, unfortunately, the duration just not that long. And buys them time, but that's all it really buys, as Apex, he's the key player. He's the key factor. Landing that seismic shove, game-changing to how the rest of the fight goes.
Here we go again, though. I mean, we come back and Apex has his wall up again. I mean, this Talia has been everything for Impunity here, trying to get themselves to 4 wins.
They're
on
split.
The Baron, they're split again. Gemini needs a smite, secures it, but they're left in their lonesome while Shun starts bringing out the shurikens. Look at that. As Rest goes over the wall, his flash available. Meganar too.
Green White's perfect.
Winnie's one shot away, and he'll be sniped down. Rest finds it in the end while Annex is just trying to survive. Apex is over the wall, and Mission cleans up that Callista. TP to get him out, and it was close from Impunity, but all it takes is Shun being able to play out range.
There's just no answer for this Aphelios pick. They can't get reliable dive focus, and Alex ends up trying to go for the fight instead of trying to flip for maybe a Baron steal. And Impunity, they kind of get cross-eyed a little bit because of Alex's decision. He looks for the fight, and the rest of them, they turn towards the Baron to try and get a steal or perhaps kill Gemini before he's able to get the smite and turn it into a true 50-50. I'm sure we'll get a replay. Weaver's Wall, actually.
Oh, the arrow mid-wall. Koala, that was well aimed. A good stop here from Apex, who was chasing up the pick. And, you know, Impunity are trying to clear away vision in this top side. No Dragon up and available, at least stopping any of the play from CFO. But, you know, if it goes any further, look at the control wards up in that top side. TP from Mission available, not Rest. If they want to pick up the pieces, they can. And speaking of which, Gemini is here, but will be spotted out by a control ward. However, Winnie has no flash. Winnie has no flash. And all Mission has to do is press R. Face Call's greatest scout of the week is response. Wait. Winnie goes back in. What? Cool. Winnie, we need to talk. We do need to talk. Okay, now you support them for 30 seconds.
Yeah, and your biggest tool of the hostile takeover is trying to deter the game from ending is now just removed out of your hands. Well, now we are going to have a siege. Apex!
Seismic shove. Again, Apex going through. Sean Gale forcing forward. Look at this guy. He's feeling it. Atlan sitting on the bench, and it's getting cold over there because Sean isn't going anywhere at this point. CDBC Flying Oyster all of a sudden. 9,000 gold lead. And CFO looking like a top team again. We've had some moments here from Impunity, but I feel like off the back of Apex and Alex working so well together, the CDBC Flying Oyster have come in strong, and Sean Mission standout moments in this game as we go to Meganar shortly. Rest wants to end it here as the range is coming in handy once again. Rest with the 2-man against the broken Nexus turret. Seismic shove still on point as Gemini is taking the damage, but they put Rest in closer to almost kill Jackpot. Koala with his snipe. Sean not feeling confident. CWC Flying Oyster ain't going to end. They're going to walk away and play the safe game, as Rest backing there would have just been silly.
Certainly tempting fate there, as Dragon is up in 50 seconds. So CFO going for the recalls right now. get that reset. They've got plenty of gold to play around with. Jackpot could just be dead. Okay.
Not enough mana.
Not going to be dead. I thought Mission would go ahead, pull the trigger, throw down the ultimate, but not to be.
Not enough mana. Yeah,
And-
unfortunate. But look, you know, at this point, we got Dragon coming up. I mean, CDBC Flying Oyster, as I was saying before, need to dot the I's, cross the T's. Like, we have a 4-item Aphelios here. No Infinity Edge, but who cares? Double.
He's got GA.
Yeah, Collector, LDR.
Not going anywhere.
And the means to end this one right here. Here we go. Rest once again jumping forward. He has Flash available. And with the whole team coming in, he's ready to send it down. I mean, just wait for Sean. That's the person we'll see who will go force forward yet again.
Shun is where all this damage is loaded in. Yes, everyone else does bring a little bit here. It's all about him. For Impunity, they need some sort of big CC to land. Level 2 hostile takeover. That could make a difference. But
well,
has to go.
How can CFO get in range of it? One person, but it's only the Ash, and Winnie's dead yet again as Jackpot jumps in. No one touching Sean. No one is hitting Aphelios. A free ulti. He's rocking the Viper skin and even playing like him as well. Flashing forward. Range comes through clutch. Sean is 7-0-2. And CDBC Flying Oyster will move up towards that big old bubble at the top of the standings after what has just been a great win streak to watch.
A massive win for them as they take care of business against Impunity. This game never felt like it was out of question. From the get-go, they had everything planned for this bottom lane. They set it up to succeed, bait out the Renata pick, counter pick with the Ashe pick, and with the town in that bottom lane hysterics, this Kalista, which has to be ahead in order to really set herself up to succeed, especially against Aphelios, never got a chance. And it was just well planned out and well thought out coming in from CFO to round out this draft.
Yeah, I mean, they had an option against Renata the whole time. We're wondering, like, why aren't you picking this Renata pick? It's so OP. And I guess having an understanding that, well, they can outrange the matchup just makes it feel so nice to watch CFO's adaptation in draft and what they were willing to give over, because their game plan was nice and simple. And, you know, Mission's one of those mid laners at the moment. No one else is picking Syndra. Not even the rookies and Knights are playing Syndra at the moment. But Mission's still willing to pick it up. And he got punished a little bit, let's be real. Like, the Talia started moving to sides where he was. But Mission still has massive impact and still, you know, one of the greatest Syndras here in this league. So it's good to see comfort coming through from multiple members of CFO in this game.
Yeah, and CFO cleaning up really, really nicely. I love the draft, really, from top to bottom. Yes, we had the question about the Renata, but it turns out that they had it all scripted out. And from the side of Impunity, I would say the draft wasn't that much of an issue this time around. Unfortunately, they didn't play to really their win conditions, or they weren't able to get to their win conditions, which was attacking the side lanes. They tried to help out Jackpot. He still ended up being very far behind in CS. They never turned their attention towards that bot lane. And because of that, the Poppy does fall short, right? Yes, you have the really cool combination of being able to pin someone to the Talia wall. That's all fine and dandy. But you got to get a little bit more out of that Poppy during the early parts of the game.
Yeah, really, really rough to watch. You know, Alex had great moments, but as you said, yeah, the laning phase itself went pretty much unscathed until we got some of those like skirmish, you know, early team fights, and then Alex comes in clutch and sets it up with Annex right beside him. Sorry, Apex. It's so hard remembering. There's Alex, there's Apex, and Annex. There's 3 X's here on this team. But, dude, I think for Impunity, what you can be happy in is the fact that Apex probably looks like your best mid. You know, that was a great game. I think Apex should be commended. Like, as you said, that was one of the best Talia games I think we've seen in the PCS so far, because he utilized his movement so well.
Yeah, Apex really making a case for the starting spot. And I mean, it's not like we've seen a ton of Husky either, right? He's only played 3 games. But we can see clearly that for Impunity, sacking that bottom lane was just not the play. And their bot lane, like, there was... I mean, Renata did more damage than Kalista. That really just spells out the game. And that's only 2k damage.
Oh my god, I think they're the lowest numbers I've ever seen out of a Kalista Renata bottom lane. Shun getting MVP. On the other side of the coin, there's always one, isn't there? Always that one Aphelios in the day. Dude, I mean, I love watching Shun. Gale forcing forward, the confidence out of this man. And I don't feel like we get that out of many ADs in the league with the quality we have. Like, it kind of a unified vibe when he's playing at his peak. But Shun is the answer for CFO. I think that's very fair to say.
Yeah, it's very much like how YSKM operates for Frank Esports. When you have this guy on the Rift, you have to put attention to this player. And if you would completely ignore it, like what Impunity just did in that game, he literally takes all the resources and makes you pay for that.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. Well, I don't know where to kind of like end this, because I feel like after that game,
it was a wacky day.
Yeah, it was a really wacky day. I think Impunity have shown like the mid lane strength is really good. Jungle, as you said, needs to be more proactive early. But from what I feel after casting PCS today, I feel like CDBC Flying Oyster and DCG, you know, sitting that publishing talent at the moment. J-Team today, I don't know, we're on a different level. Let's be real. That was not good J-Team. Yeah. I don't know what else to say there, Nightstar. Like, that J-Team was just all over the place today, which is a shame when you're talking about Kongyue and Uniboy.
Yeah, J-Team, it feels like some of their old weaknesses did get exposed from their playoff run. As we get to take a look at today's results, nothing too surprising, except for, of course, J-Team get taken down, which makes them in the massive clump for second, right? It's the J-Team universe once again fighting for second to have that right to get that first round bye.
Well, that's what you want. I mean, PSG Talon looking good for it at the moment, though, right? 7-win streak, PSG well and truly ahead. And I'm kind of wondering, I mean, CDBC Flying Oyster on their own little win streak. I think the team I'm most excited for, though, Nightstar, is Frank Esports.
Hell yeah.
Like, dude, that team, I think that team is top 4 at the moment. Honestly, what a crazy world it would be if Frank Esports went to Worlds.
Dude,
you know,
I am
go up against
so
maybe
for
EDG Esports. Edward versus Frank.
Yes.
Could you imagine?
First name basis. That's what our esports has boiled down to. Soon everyone is going to rebrand themselves. We're going to have PSG Bob. That's what we're going to have.
Okay, let's rename it. I mean, PSG tomorrow better give themselves a fancy name, because against Deep Cross Gaming, that's another good one. That's a really good matchup to watch. Frank versus Dewish team. I mean, they just came off beating Sem9 today. Now they're versing the other 1-9 team. So Frank are looking exceptional, and they get to keep doing so against some of the bottom tier teams. I think that middle of the day match, once again, Nightstar seems to be the best.
Yeah, that will certainly be the highlight as we look for our 3-win teams to try and bounce back, but they do have a tall task ahead of them, right? A Meta Falcon team taking on Flying Oyster. Meta Falcon team, they need to figure out how they want to draft, especially against some of these better teams. Against the lower teams, you know, they can be a little bit more standard, right? But they need to find correct curveballs without throwing their composition into too much disarray. And for Impunity, like, they need a little bit more agency. this team needs to find an actual way to throw their weight around the map, because right now they're letting the game happen too much without trying to say something in the game.
Yeah, and with the level of experience, you'd expect that there'd be a bit more direction.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know, the only thing I can relate this team to is maybe like a BLG, where BLG had, you know, Uzi, Crisp, Fofo.
A lot of names.
You know, yeah, like Breed was in there.
Yep.
So you have so many names who maybe not to that caliber, but still, like, you know, Apex, Annex, and Alex are all people that have been in, you know, premier positions before, have been, you know, world championships, like MSI, like these are big players. I just feel like there should be experience, maybe different directions going at once, I feel. But yeah, overall, Night Star, I feel like what we've learnt today is that Break Esports looks so fun to watch. CDBC Flying Oyster are still looking great, and PSG Talon don't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. So, boy oh boy. Is there anything you need to add before we round out today? Anything that gives us spice that you feel like you have to share?
Well, I haven't been proven wrong on putting Impunity 10th on my list so far. So, there we go.
Okay, thank you for that. A great way to end out. Big thank you to Night Star. Thank you to our English production, as always. It's going to be bye for now, but not forever. PCS will be back with you tomorrow. Wait for that PSG game with DCG. That will be something worth tuning into. Till then.